got something very interesting today to talk about, data breach. And if you don't know what data breach is, you're going to find out, but I suspect you do. But I've got the authority, the best authority I can find on that subject, and he has really got a tremendous record, which we'll tell you a little bit about. He's with Brown and Brown. You know, it doesn't get any better than that. That's a big, great agency. It has been for a long time, and he's their data breach guy. But look at all that information underneath there, the CIC. Let's tell you what, dude. Let's take a picture. Let's show you what Gary looks like. Okay, let's move forward to that. And there he is. And look at all this stuff now. But he's the national co-leader, or he was, for cyber data and security data breach coverage, and for Beecher Carlson. And Beecher Carlson merged with Brown and Brown, and you can see what he does there. Attorneys, CEOs, and all that. He talks about contract requirements and so forth. Come back and look at that background. It's really amazing. He's been around for 30 years, and it's just amazing. Gary, let's talk about what all your letters mean behind your name. Let's see. What's CITRMS?
So that's a Certified Identity Theft Risk Management Specialist, which specifically addresses data breach, data security.
I'll be darned. Who gives that out?
I got it about 6 years ago. It was done by a university at that time.
I'll be darned. It's interesting. Okay, CIC, we all know what that is. ARM, Associate in Risk Management, we know what that is. CRIS.
So just like it shows on the screen, that is specifically for construction. It is a construction risk insurance specialist designation.
Wow. Risk Management Advisor. Who gives that out? Do you remember risk? I've seen that before, but I'm not quite sure.
That is actually done by one of our pools that do municipalities here in the state of Oregon.
Oh, how about that? And the CLCS. I've never heard that either.
That
Who
one.
gives that out? Do you have any idea?
Don't recall right off. It was National Underwriters, I believe, is who does it, and it is the commercial lines coverage specialist designation.
I know. That's amazing. I'm impressed. I was never able to get any of those. I used to teach one or two of them, but I was never able to pass the test. Anyhow, you've got a Bachelor of Science in Southern Oregon, and the way I met you, of course, was in Oregon, where I was making a talk to the Oregon Big I, and you were president for a couple of years. That's unusual. 2-year term. Is it always done that way there?
No, it was one exception. It's always been a 1-year term.
I'll be darned. Well, that's a heck of a story. All right, let's talk about EPLI, data breach. What's all this stuff, okay?
So a lot of people compare EPLI to data breach, data security, but I think some differences is with data breach, data security, we've actually got more severity with data breach, data security. Current surveys are showing about $5.9 million is the average cost of a data breach. When I looked up EPLI this morning on the web, it looked like they're saying about the average cost of EPLI is about $235,000. Also, I think there's more severity that we've got. Last year, about 57.8 million records were breached.
Amazing.
Also, last year and the year before, this line of business has been growing at about $1 billion a year in new revenue.
Gosh, we can't ignore that, can we? I mean, it's just amazing.
Right.
I mean, what are we going to do? Hit it again. Okay.
So, and for anybody that deals in this field, it's not a matter if a data breach is going to happen. It's not a matter of even when. It's basically how often it's going to go ahead and happen, and everybody sees this in the news pretty much every day.
Well, you saw it yesterday morning with that all the banks, all those big banks, the biggest bank in the country, right? That J.P. Morgan.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan was one of them that was tapped as well.
God, that's amazing, the numbers. At any rate, go forward.
Okay. Really believe the importance of this coverage and offering this coverage is data breach can protect your insured from a significant impact. We just talked about the $5.9 million, and it can literally save your insureds from being put out of business, and got plenty of examples of where that's literally happened. When you look at Target, I think some of the reports are saying it's impact their income and expenses by 40 to 60%.
Wow, well, that's fun stuff. Yep. All right. Let's talk about What's notification?
So one of the driving costs when you do have a data breach is notification. Often it's the first item and the primary cost of what insureds are faced with a data breach.
You're talking about notification to the people who are involved with it, or notification?
Right. In fact, in a minute we're going to go ahead and show there's different laws and things, but I think the next main point is people need to know and remember that notification isn't an option. It's required by federal laws such as HIPAA. Also, there's 47 different state notification laws.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh.
Amazing. The other thing is that's going to go ahead and trigger more notifications is this past year, HIPAA went ahead and changed the notification requirements from risk of harm. What that means, George, is that if I didn't think you were harmed in the past, I didn't need to notify you. If I thought you were harmed, I needed to notify you. But the new ruling as of this past year is presumption of harm. So I've got to presume that you were harmed. I've got to notify you unless I can justify why I did not notify you. Otherwise, I'm subject to fines and penalties.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And far as notification process, the average cost per record is, by current records, is $201 per record. Some of the things that go ahead and make those costs up is legal. One of the first things that when you have one of these policies, you're typically going to call in a 1-800 number, and a breach coach is going to go ahead and advise you if you actually need to notify and give you a path to help avoid fines and penalties. That's followed by forensics to go ahead and establish if you actually had a breach and to what extent you had a breach. Then follows that is notification, where you actually do go ahead and send out the letters. The letters need to be customized for each individual state because the laws are different. Then typically you're going to go ahead and provide a call center to explain what happened and what you're doing for those people. Then it's typically going to followed by providing credit monitoring to those people. And then finally, those costs per record includes public relations, where you're going ahead and protecting your reputation.
Let me understand, when you say cost per record, you're talking about person affected, as opposed to, I mean, the per record means, I mean, if you have 10,000 people that might be affected, is that the cost per them?
So that's where, if you kind of take this $201 per record, and then you compare it to that $5.9 million per breach cost, that's how the two equate.
Good.
One of the reports indicates that there's about 28,000 records is the average number of records that get breached in a breach. So some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower.
Got it. Amazing.
And then far as where the breach exposures come from is having such things as personal identifiable information. That is such things as a name, a driver's license number, social security number. Also comes from having personal health information. That could be on your employees, as well as it could be on customer health information. Also having intellectual information. That could be such things as having business plans, formulas, and those getting stolen. And then, as we're all aware, because of things like Target, also PCI, which is payment card industry, that's when people deal with debit or credit cards. And even if you use a processor, you can also be liable to fines and penalties.
No way to get out of this, is there? So
Nope.
I wonder, let me ask you something just for a second. How many years have we had this sort of thing? I mean, I can't remember it before the last 4 or 5 years. Was it even available? I mean, was it always happening this way in the like 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all that?
So again, I just think it's like what you're indicating. It's more of it being in the news, and so probably the last 5 years, and even now, Target has really gone ahead and helped get this on the radar screen.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Go ahead.
And then there's, besides all these costs, there's a lot of ways that it can go ahead and happen. In fact, it's bigger than IT. It's really a board issue anymore. Some of the different ways is, of course, people are familiar with it happening by hackers, but another major way is employee error and system glitches. In fact, some reports indicate that about 56 to 72% of breaches happen from human error or system glitches. Another way that's happened is when data is in transit. We've got several breaches that have happened even when it's UPS or FedEx is being used to ship disk and tapes. Burglary is another major exposure, and in those cases, people are literally breaking into office buildings or homes and stealing not just laptops, but desktops or servers. Another major exposure is third parties. In fact, about 31 to 40% of the breaches happen when someone else has your data, but legally you're still responsible for notification when it's your records. Last year, third-party breaches increased by about 66%. If that isn't bad enough, it's also caused by insider theft. And that's where employees literally go ahead and use the information, or they go ahead and sell the information. That increased by about 80% last year.
Wow. Amazing.
So when we get to coverage, what the typical policy has as coverage options is one, of course, liability. Next coverage line would be regulatory, which of course is our fines and penalties. Such things as HIPAA, the fines and penalties just went up from $250,000 to $1.5 million last year. Another coverage line, of course, that we've already talked about is notification. Another one would be data restoration. You get a virus in the system and you have to go ahead and repair or replace your network. Now, besides damage to the network, you can also have electronic business income interruption. A good example would be in healthcare. Most organizations use electronic records. If the system's down, they literally can't do surgeries.
Wow.
One of the current fast-growing breach exposures today is also extortion, where what it amounts to is they will go ahead and capture your data and then offer to sell it back to you, and oftentimes it's only like $300, but one report shows that in 100 days one of the organizations collected about $30 million. So this is something that is really happening.
Wow, that's scary.
And then, of course, we've always had traditional insurance to cover exposures, but when it comes to data breach, you're going to find that traditional CGL, umbrella, D&O, errors and omissions coverage is not adequate. Those are basically based on bodily injury and property damage coverage. And then there's prior limitations that were already in the policy, such as in the CGL, it covers property damage, which means physical injury to tangible property, but in the CGL policy it also went ahead and said for the purposes of insurance, electronic data is not tangible property. So right there, you don't have coverage if you put a virus into somebody else's system. Also, there's new exclusions going on in the policy. ISO has got a new one that's going on that goes on to the BOP, goes on to the CGL, goes on to the umbrella policy, further clarifies that it does not cover loss and damage caused by data breach. Even if you did get coverage under the CGL policies, some of the issues that we've already talked about, since it's BIPD oriented, doesn't cover notification costs, typically will not cover fines and penalties from regulatory, and is not going to cover viruses, electronic loss of income, or extortion, as we've talked about.
Wow, there's so much to learn here.
And again, the nice thing is that, as we talked earlier, the data breach, data security policy is specifically addressed to go ahead and cover those types of items. So having data security policies, the big benefit when you buy one is you've got dollars to go ahead and pay for the damages, such as the notification costs, regulatory, extortion, those kinds of things. But another valuable source that comes with the policy is you get vendors that are used to doing this every day, and to help IT and management to handle this crisis. Also, if you had a breach today without an insurance policy and went out and bought these vendor services, you would be paying retail. And the insurance companies typically have got discounted prices. Typically those rates are going to be about half of what you would have paid on your own. And then lastly, a great resource is the risk management services that come with the insurance policies as well. So if your mission is to protect your clients, this is one of the most important coverages, and literally can be the difference between protecting your insured from going out of business or having a significant impact to their financial statement.
I believe it, Gary. Let me ask you something now. Is this, I imagine, is still relatively new. I doubt that there are many courses taught. I wonder if, like CIC and those people have courses on this, or I don't know who else. Well, I don't know who would. Do you know? Are there courses on data security? Do you know?
There are. In fact, actually, you mentioned CIC. I just did a Ruble CIC, and it was specifically on data breach, data security. And you know, there are a number of webinars. There's a number of courses that are being done specifically on this topic.
If people would like to know where they can find that, can they ask you? I know you're not, you're not selling anything here or whatever, but do you mind if they drop you a note and say, what about this or that?
Sure, that's fine. And then otherwise, you know, like I say, CIC is going ahead and doing it. Might also contact some of the insurance companies, because a lot of the insurance companies are doing webinars regularly to get information out on this topic as well.
Yeah, and I imagine it's getting approval from CE courses too.
In many cases, CE credits are available as well.
All right, let's see how they can contact you, Gary, and I'll take it from there. I appreciate you doing this. I know that I'm sure and Brown too, offering your time and everything to help your competition, Gary. I don't know if that means much, but anyhow, Gary's up in Oregon, and he's very willing. As you can see, he's been his whole career has been helping other people in this, and he's willing to do it. And I greatly appreciate, Gary, all of that you've done this, and I will. You can be sure that you're going to hear from people, and I'm going to pass the word too. You're now the official authority. You're George's official authority Monday mornings. So, hey, thanks, Gary. Appreciate it very much. Okay.
Well,
and let me remind people before we quit. Go back to your email. Find out the tip of the day for the E&O, the community centers, quiz flash, and of course the rough notes and Agencies Online archive of all of these. And it's getting bigger and bigger, as you can probably tell. Gary, I really do thank you again, and we'll see everybody else next Monday morning.